Hey, what's up, everybody? In this video, we're going to talk about what I think makes a great athlete, but that doesn't matter to you. What we're going to talk about for you is how you can apply this system so that you can become the best athlete that you can be. What up, fam? If you're new here, I'm Nick Lee. I am a high performance coach of athletes. And as of late, I've been pondering the question, what actually makes a great athlete? And in pondering this question, I had two great examples. One is the GOAT of the NFL, and that would be Tom Brady. And although he might not be classically athletic, he is one of the greatest athletes of all time, especially at the quarterback position. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I think about Usain Bolt. Blessed with crazy speed, he is the GOAT when it comes to pure speed. But if you watched him do anything with a ball, it looks a little bit awkward, a little bit off, right? So if he was in any other realm other than track and field, he probably wouldn't be the GOAT. So you have these two ends of the spectrum. So I sit there and think, what actually goes into making a great athlete? And after thinking about this for a little bit, I came up with a couple of different conclusions. The first conclusion is that there are three different pillars to athleticism that play into what can make a great athlete. And then the second conclusion is that each of these pillars has its own continuum of a lot to a little that can be built up based on the needs of whatever sport that you are competing in. And obviously, you start out a little bit higher in some continuums and a little bit lower in the others, or the way that you're brought up in whatever environment that you're in. Those can affect where you sit on those continuums once you start competing as well. But enough about that. What are the three pillars when it comes to athleticism? The first pillar, and I think this one is super duper obvious, we're going to reference the kind of example I had earlier in Usain Bolt being pure speed. The first pillar is your physical measurables. And this can be both looked at as genetic and what you can achieve through training. But it's going to be your physical measurables. How fast are you? How strong are you? How powerful are you? Anything that is pure athleticism. Think about speed and track. You think about how high someone jumps when they dunk a basketball. You think about someone's ability to outquick another human being. These are all kind of physical measurables that you can be blessed with or you can develop through very sound training. And as a strength and conditioning coach, the physical measurables, this is where traditional strength and conditioning comes into play, where you make athletes bigger, faster, stronger, directly through the physical training that you put them through. One thing I will say about this is everyone has their genetic ceiling of what can be achieved through this, or they have like kind of a base from their genetics of how good they start off at, right? But I will say that you can achieve very high levels even though you're not as genetically gifted. So don't be quick, or don't be too quick to go ahead and blame genetics when someone might be a little bit more athletic than you when it comes to numbers. That's not the whole story, and you can improve those pretty well through some very sound training. The second pillar that I've come up with is the level of coordination you have. And to me, whenever I'm watching sports or whenever I'm watching people compete, I think of this as the most natural athlete. And if you have been in athletics at all, you kind of know what I'm talking about. This is the athlete that can do all the skills, and then they can go into a different sport, and then they can do all the skills. And then they can go to an even more obscure sport that you think they wouldn't have any chance in. And whatever skills they have built up from other realms of playing, they carry over into that, and they're able to apply it to a completely new sport there as well. So I'm thinking about super coordinated people, very natural athletes that can do just about any sport that they want. When it comes to this pillar, the continuum, I think about is a person's ability to mimic and learn skills. So can I watch someone do something, and then can I replicate that on my own? And then how do I learn it? Am I able to pick something up quickly through a few repetitions, or do I need to practice and practice and practice just to become competent, some level of competent at a certain skill? And then once I've worked on a certain skill, can I take that skill from the context of one sport and apply it into the context of another sport? You will find that a very natural athlete, a very gifted, coordinated athlete is able to take, let's say, touch from shooting a basketball, and they would be able to have some level of touch while they hold a hockey stick in their hands and they're shooting a wrister up into the goal. I think of it as the level of coordination someone has and their ability to kind of use that coordination in multiple scenarios. And then the third pillar that we're going to talk about here, or just kind of reference, is the mental game. Some might say this is the most important part of your game because this is what not only controls your mindset in very hard situations in and out of competition, but it also is about you getting out of your own way and letting yourself compete and perform to the best of your body's ability without hindering it with negative self-talk or anything or any judgment that might be put upon it to kind of lower your level of play. So when we come to the mental game, though, we're going to talk about two different things. We're going to talk about the mental game outside of competition, and we're going to talk about the mental game inside of competition. Okay, I'm just going to reference these. We're going to talk about it, a couple points, and then we'll be done. When we talk about the mental game outside of competition, it is very crucial to know that we are what we continually think about all day long. Or, if you want it in different words, we get to choose who and what we want to be or become. And how is this done? Mental repetition. Or you think about what are your personal beliefs, thoughts, and actions. If you have a certain belief about yourself, your thoughts and your actions will reflect those beliefs, and you will have a self-fulfilling prophecy on your hands. One example, someone doesn't think they're a very good three-point shooter, or they've missed a few, and they start to say, I'm not a very good three-point shooter. They will tell themselves that over and over. They might practice it less. They shoot it less in competition. Therefore, they don't allow themselves the space to get better at shooting a three-point shot in basketball. And then without the work, obviously, they're not going to be very good at shooting three-point shots. So then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of becoming a bad three-point shooter. Okay, that's kind of a nice glimpse into mindset on the outside of competition. How about the mindset inside of competition? So inside of competition, what we're going to talk about with mindset is strategies to overcome different situations and emotions. Like I said, you will come up to some high emotion, high pressure situations within competition. You want to have the right tools so that you can give yourself the best chance, the most space to compete and do what you can do. And then another thing is, it's not just about dealing with those hard situations. It's about just developing focus that you can use throughout the entirety of the competition that gives you confidence through trusting yourself to perform and allowing yourself to play rather than constantly judging yourself or judging the things that you do as good or bad and then leading into your self-fulfilling prophecies that I mentioned. Real quick, if you kind of like what I'm talking about here, if you vibe with me, it would mean a lot if you threw me a subscribe. I know we're not all the way through the video yet, but I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you watching. And a subscribe would just let me know that what I'm putting out there is being watched and enjoyed by you. I'm just trying to help you guys out here. And, you know, a subscribe would go a long way, and it means a lot to me personally. As I said there, it is about you and what you can do. So that was a quick overview of the pillars of athleticism that I've pondered. How can you apply this to your situation? After all, that's the point of this video. It's not just to talk about athletes. It is to take those pillars, take those things we think about when it comes to athleticism, and apply it into your very specific situation. So what I will say is being a great athlete and being the best athlete that you can be is going to be some kind of combination of all three of these pillars. Understand that you're going to lie somewhere else on a continuum compared to others, somewhere else on all three continuums so that it makes you the best you. Yes, you can mimic other people, but you're not going to be exactly like some of your favorite players, some of the people you want to emulate because you're a different person. So you want to be you, you can mimic, you can try to be like others, but understand that where you lie on those continuums is where you lie because you are already enough as the athlete you are, and then you just want to better yourself based on what you want to be. So how can we better ourselves using these ideas to become a better athlete? Well, I'd say step number one is becoming aware of where you sit within each of these realms. Where do you, and how can you kind of evaluate that? I would say, where do you, or what do you rely on within your competitions to be successful, right? What are your strengths? This is going to be a pretty telltale sign of kind of which pillar you gravitate towards in your athleticism to see like where your strength is, right? So are you a person that can create separation and blow by other people on your pure athleticism, you might be in the physical measurables pillar, you might be very, very high, right? Or have you understood that maybe you're not as physically gifted? So a lot of your ability to create for yourself is based on timing, technique, and the ability to kind of mess with another defender and use different types of skills to make yourself successful, right? So then you would kind of be maybe a little bit lower on the physical measurables, maybe a little bit higher on the coordination side, maybe a little bit higher on the mental side because you just use that a little bit more and you've had to. And then to find your weaknesses, I would say, what do you tend to avoid in your preparation? What I've noticed a lot is that when I come across athletes that are super physically gifted, they like to do the physical things, right? That makes a lot of sense. But when it comes to the athletes who are not the most physically gifted, they like to kind of blame training. They like to shy away from training because they think, or for whatever reason, they're just self-conscious about it. So I would say whatever your weakness is, I would just kind of look at, what do you avoid? What do you just not like to do because you think it's pointless? And understand the answer to this and finding the perfect formula for you isn't only to focus on playing to your strengths. It's not only to focus on trying to pick up on your weaknesses either. It is an interplay between promoting your strengths while trying to address and bring up your weaknesses to make you an overall better athlete, player, or however you want to look at it. Now I would even venture as far to guess as say, at different times of the year, you want to focus on the two differences between your strengths and your weaknesses, right? So when, just off the cuff here, when we're talking about early off season, so you've just finished your season, your early off season, you have a very long time to prepare for the next year. I would say you're going to want to be pretty heavy on addressing weaknesses in that point. You have a lot of mental space to go into practicing those weaknesses without it taking too much of a toll on you because you don't have to worry about competition, right? So I'd say early off season, work on those weaknesses, maybe a little bit less on the strengths because the strengths will come easier. And then, we're talking about promoting your strengths and playing to how you play as an athlete. I would just say worry about that when you get in season, especially towards the end of the season. You want to play to your strengths. You don't want to be thinking. You want to give yourself the most space to be successful. So really what it comes down to is focusing on your strengths, especially when you get late in the season, because you don't want to be able to think and analyze. You just want to be able to perform. And your strengths are going to be the things that just happen naturally no matter what. All right, so after step one, which is becoming aware, as I said, you have step number two, and that is to create a clear vision and plan of what you'd like to be and how to make yourself better in each of these areas. Understand that you cannot get anywhere if you don't know where you're going. Also, if you don't choose where you want to go, you will be at the mercy of other people and circumstances to dictate where you go, and you might not like the outcome of that either. After you've created your vision and your plan, step three is to act. Your plan will 100% not be perfect, and that is okay. But that does not matter. Your action and pursuing your goal with the faith and the trust that it will happen will allow it to come that much quicker. A really big thing these days is manifesting. Manifesting this, manifesting that. All you have to do is imagine it and it will be yours. To a certain extent, I can say that this will be true. But beyond that extent, this claim is bullshit. Nothing happens without action. And if your actions aren't in line with who you want to become, it most likely will not happen. If I don't practice basketball, I will not be in the NBA. The NBA player will not come to me if I don't work on anything in basketball, right? So there has to be a congruency between your action and your vision. I know that's a super extreme example, right? Because your vision is going to be most likely in line with something that you already do. But if you have been doing the same old thing for 5 years, and you've changed your vision from where you are right now, most likely nothing's going to change because your actions have stayed the same. You're going to get the same result. As much as and as sexy as manifestation can be, you need to do step three. You need to act. You need to do the new actions, the whatever actions it takes to get you to the place that you want to go, the place that you set up in step number two. Okay. And then step four, after you've made your plan, you're super clear on your vision and your goals and what you want to be. You've acted, and some things have happened, but some things have not. Step four is to iterate and change. Once you've been taking that action, you need to evaluate what has worked and what hasn't without judgment. If you add on judgment, it's only going to make your self-fulfilling prophecies worse. So if you can do that without judgment and see what's brought you closer to your goal, what hasn't brought you closer to your goal, you can simply switch up the things that haven't worked and just keep doing the things that have. And if you just trust the process and go through it and enjoy what you're doing, allow yourself to do everything that needs to be done, that vision will come to you because you're taking the right action, you're changing the wrong ones, and you're manifesting that thing coming to you. Those are the 4 steps that you can take using or identifying those athletic pillars to become the best athlete that you want to be. Again, if you guys like this video, if you guys kind of like the system and then like how to apply the system, it would mean a lot if you threw me a subscribe. I cannot wait to make more and more videos for you guys. I have some great ideas coming up, and it's going to be happening all year long in 2026 and probably beyond, just because I want to become good at something, and this is in line with who I want to be and what I want to do. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down there and we will answer as soon as possible. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Peace.